I shouldn't have found this. Last Saturday, I was scrolling through YouTube when a video appeared that looked completely ordinary. A Minecraft Let's Play uploaded by a channel named Jamie and Mason. There was nothing special about the title or thumbnail, but something about it caught my attention, and I clicked. And I regret it now, because what this video led me to is easily the most disturbing rabbit hole I have ever stumbled across on YouTube. Crimes stretching back to the early internet, secret organizations and hidden documents banned across the globe, all pointing to one seemingly ordinary Minecraft player. What happened to this player and how did he go missing? Well, to find out, we need to go back and watch the first episode of the story, Jamie's House and Game. The video begins on a clearly progressed Minecraft server. Almost immediately, we see Jamie's first chat message. "My house is fully complete." Mason, the one recording, walks over to Jamie's house. He compliments the build, saying it looks good, though he mentions it feels a little emptier than Jamie would usually make it. Jamie replies that he's too bored to finish the inside, though Mason immediately reacts with shock. "What? Bored? That is simply impossible, Jamie." That reaction caught me off guard. Maybe it was just his way of typing, but it raises a strange question. Why would it be impossible for Jamie to feel bored? It doesn't really make sense. Jamie laughs it off, but Mason doubles down, saying it's the first time he's ever heard Jamie admit something like that. The rest of the video continues as the house tour ends, and Jamie takes Mason to play his little wool game. On the walk, Jamie experiences noticeable lag spikes, but nothing too far from ignorable. Eventually, they arrive at the game, where the goal is to mine and place wool on the corresponding block. After a short back and forth, Jamie wins. Mason has to leave a few minutes later, and the video comes to a close, completely normally. I was debating if this series would be worth my time, but I decided to click on the second video as well. It resumes with Mason and Jamie back on the world. Jamie had apparently been online for a little while beforehand, and it's clear they've been playing off camera too, since they've gathered a surprising amount of obsidian. They follow the wooden paths from the first video until the terrain shifts to gravel, where a strange statue-like structure now stands, something that definitely wasn't there before. As they move closer, mobs get in the way, and Mason struggles against a creeper. But while Mason is distracted, Jamie suddenly stops in his tracks. "Maverick? Is that you?" Mason, nearly out of health, retreats up the hill and looks back to see Jamie staring straight at the statue. But who is Maverick and what did he see? Mason laughs it off, saying the figure's head kind of looks like his. But Jamie doesn't laugh. He just walks forward, then poses again, this time staring directly at Mason. Mason questions it, though Jamie doesn't respond. He only starts walking again, as if nothing ever happened. Together, they begin constructing what looks like a massive nether portal, and right as they finish the top frame, the video ends. The description under the upload is Mason's own take on the encounter. He insists that Jamie joked the statue looks like someone named Maverick, but the strange part is Jamie never actually explained what he saw. He didn't say another word about it. Apart from that incident, nothing strange really took place in this video as well. They just built this new nether portal, and with the title of the next upload being Lighting the Portal, it's clear that something else is coming. Episode 3 begins with the two of them mining for stone. As they discuss building a bank of some sort, Mason mentions that they'll need a ton of stone, until Jamie suddenly asks for coal. Mason drops him some coal, but "No, not that. I asked for wood, idiot." Jamie types this out aggressively. This really rubbed me in the wrong way. He certainly asked for coal, not wood, so why get so heated? Mason reacts a little thrown off as well, but still gives him the wood he wants before heading to mine more stone. After a few more minutes, they head back out. Mason makes it out of the cave, while Jamie keeps wandering in random directions on the way. He calls him out for fun, laughing about how Jamie usually gets lost. But what Jamie says next makes it clear that something is wrong. "That's not so funny. Mason Keelio? Mason immediately steps back, asking him how the heck he knows his real name. Jamie just replies saying he guessed it. This is incredibly weird and it raises some questions. You really can't just guess someone's name and get it right like that. But Mason ignores this and they both eventually get out of the cave and make their way to the portal. Jamie faces more odd lag spikes along the way, even eerily stopping near the statue again before finally making his way to light the nether portal. Although Jamie leaves the game, and just as Mason lights the portal, the game crashes and the video comes to an unexpected end. This is strange. If it was just an internet issue, you'd expect Mason to reload, though I believe something is clearly wrong with this server, and most specifically, something is definitely going on with Jamie, and if we want to find out what, it has to be in this final 4th video on the channel. Wait, not yet. Looking at the description of this video, at the very bottom we see something. I'm afraid that Jamie will see this, but a conversation with Maverick. It's a link to an unlisted video. I clicked immediately, and the video begins with Mason greeting Maverick, who had just joined the game. He tells him that they've got to build him a house, and while doing so, Mason types, "Yo, I'm worried about Jamie, I can't lie." Maverick asks why, and Mason tells him that he's been acting very strange recently. He goes on to explain Jamie's behavior, telling Maverick how he acted weird when he asked for coal, and even knew his name. Maverick suggests that he might have been joking, though Mason replies saying he's known Jamie for a few years and he knows when he's being serious, even stating that he's unrecognizable. They continue building for a few more minutes before Maverick notes that Jamie has been getting angry a lot faster, now even with him. The both of them agree on it, and Maverick even questions if it's because of the weather. But this last line got me intrigued. What do they mean? Something is going on with him inside. Do they mean inside Jamie's family and personal life, or something else? Speculation aside, Mason sends a link to Maverick in chat and the video ends shortly after. But I really wanted to know what this screenshot held, and I opened it to see this conversation between Mason and Jamie. "Yo, sup dude? Hello. What's up? Coming to play Minecraft today? No. Oh, okay. What are you up to today? Hospital. Why? Did you get sick? No. Hope you're doing okay, man." Jamie's words feel off. Something is happening to him. And if we are going to know anything, it's in the final video on the channel. Done. The video opens with Mason walking through a familiar world. Almost immediately he types out to us, "I really wasn't gonna plan on posting again, but Jamie hasn't talked to me in a while." He tells us how he and Maverick had tried finding Jamie, even outside the game, in real life, but no one answered. Mason continues wandering through the world, explaining how Jamie had been way ruder than before, cutting Maverick off entirely, saying he wasn't a true friend and that he'd been betrayed. None of this makes sense. Just a couple videos ago, Jamie seemed odd, sure, but nothing like this. Why the sudden shift? Mason goes on to say that a few weeks ago, Jamie sent him something, nothing more than just a single message. He shares a link, warns he'll probably close the server soon, and the video comes to an end without a warning. The link leads us to a screenshot, which seems to be a cryptic Discord message from Jamie. "Stop trying to find me, you'll only make it worse." Although that is all. We had reached a dead end. This channel didn't really lead anywhere. We just saw some odd behavior from Jamie before he went missing intentionally. But I didn't want to give up too easily, and I went through the messages again to find something. Yet no matter where I checked, there wasn't a single piece of the puzzle that pointed forward. So I rewatched all the videos again, trying to find anything. Absolutely anything I missed, and yet I didn't find a single thing, or did I? Looking closely at the crash screen, I found this, a 11-character sequence. Attach this to a YouTube URL and it leads us to another video, and even though it's only 24 seconds long, this was the piece that mattered. The video begins on a gravel path as someone seems to be walking toward the statue. For some reason, the video is extremely zoomed in, which makes it impossible to see Chad. But when he looks ahead, someone is standing behind the statue watching. The quality is too low to make out a name, but if this is Jamie's pog, this could be exactly what he saw. He looks to the side and looks back again, and the figure is gone. Just gone. Who were they and what does this mean? It starts to make sense why Mason saw Jamie staring at the statue. From Mason's perspective, there is nothing there. The statue itself could even resemble Maverick a little. But did Jamie actually think it was him? The video ends without any explanation, but this wasn't the only thing I found on the crash screen. Looking closer at the first 20 lines of the stack trace, one of them caught my attention. DNSB blah 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 .ln. It looked strange, almost like a link, and with nothing else to go on, I copied it into Google, and all of a sudden, we had a lead. It led us to this, a very simple interface with the letters DNSB on the very top. I was cautious to click on anything, but the watch video looked too tempting to click on. And if there is anything on what happened to Jamie, it has to be here. The video begins with what seems to be Jamie following a white-skinned player named DNSB 41514. The player leads him into a room, and before long, we start getting some really strange messages.
Stay here, Jamie Brown Wells. You don't move, you don't think, you wait until I tell you. If you disobey, the consequences won't stop with you. They'll find their way into every part of your life, into the people you care about the most.
Whoever this player is, it's clear that they are threatening Jamie. But if so, for what? The tormentation doesn't stop here though.
Hesitation is weakness, Jamie, and weakness spreads. Would you really let your family catch it? Now you do not speak, just shake your head if you don't remember.
This part is especially disturbing because Jamie isn't even allowed to say a single word. It's like this figure is controlling him. They leave Jamie with one more message though.
You've always wanted to be ordinary, to blend in, but you can't anymore. The sooner you accept it, the less it breaks you. Stay here.
What does he mean? Why is this even happening in the first place? Why is Jamie being controlled by some unknown player all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense. What does the line "you've always wanted to be ordinary" even mean? Just what is going on with Jamie? DNSB 41514 leaves Jamie in the room and disappears from his render distance, and for a long moment Jamie is just left there to suffer silently. He goes to the edge and looks at a wall, almost like he's trying to hide himself. But how did we go from two friends playing Minecraft to this? A whole 2 minutes pass with Jamie wandering around the room before we hear some footsteps. Jamie looks around and Maverick, coming from the same hallway as the white player. Why would he be here? I mean, it's not like we even know where this place is, but it's quite off to see him in such a place. Jamie finally types in chat, Maverick, and I can say for sure I wasn't prepared for what came next.
Hey, Jamie. You've always known you don't belong here, right? Everyone sees it. You're just different. Broken. A sheep, that's what you are. You follow orders, you wait for commands. I mean, for your whole life you've been a good-for-nothing. Your family isn't proud of you. They're ashamed of what you've become. And when this is over, they won't even remember your name.
Maverick is cruel here. So cruel that if this is the real reason Jamie cut him off, it's almost understandable. But then comes the line that really makes me question what's happening.
You think Mason cares? You think I care? We don't. We never did. You're just here because you're useful.
Why would Maverick drag Mason into this? It doesn't add up. Mason genuinely seemed worried about Jamie, and I don't want to believe that he never cared, because he clearly did. The video ends with Maverick beating Jamie down, and we're left with more questions than answers. Why is Jamie being tormented like this? First by an unknown player, DNSB41514, and then by his own supposed friend. We know for sure that DNSB41514 isn't the same player we saw before. The earlier one had a black and green skin, but something tells me these two are connected, and whatever their plan is, it's all about doing something to Jamie. I went back onto the DNSB interface and noticed something I had somehow missed before, an unrecorded end section. Clicking on it opened a chat log, a conversation between Jamie and that same white figure. My friend just texted me. He said, "Yo, sup dude?"
Listen very carefully, Jamie Wells. I need you to reply as I say. Send this. Hello.
He replied, "What's up? Coming to play Minecraft today?"
Now, don't you say yes. Tell him clearly, no. Don't be quiet. I need you to talk.
He asked me, "What am I up to today?"
Now, carefully reply saying hospital. That will let them know. Not a word more, not a word less. If your friend you have there asks anything else, tell them no. Do not reply to anything else.
Why did you say hospital though?
Well, Jamie, you mustn't deceive your friends, of course. A sensible person wouldn't. And you will go and have those brain scans at the hospital, just beyond the familiar red sign at the corner of your street. Every step, exactly as required.
Brain scans? For what? I don't have the money for that.
Now, Jamie, I need your full compliance. The money will reach your card, no need for concern. You will obey. Do not whisper a word to the doctors of why you're here. Such indiscretion would carry severe consequences. We will be watching. Now, go.
I will. This whole conversation mirrors the chat Mason showed Maverick in that unlisted video, and now it makes sense why Jamie sounded so off. It wasn't him typing at all. He was being controlled by 41514, or if you convert those numbers into letters, Don. The more I read, the more questions started piling up. Why is Jamie suddenly labeled as Subject 336? And why would Don be pushing him to go get brain scans out of all things? But then something else hit me, something that made me stop and go back twice. The time. If we go back to the conversation between Mason and Maverick, their recording supposedly runs from 12:12 PM to 12:22 PM. But here's the problem. Jamie's footage with Maverick in that strange room ends at 12:15. That means for those 3 minutes, Maverick was in two places at once. He's right there with Mason building and playing Minecraft, but at the exact same time he's tormenting Jamie in that room. And that doesn't make any sense. There were no visible cuts. He did not leave for a second either. So what the hell was really happening? Something is seriously wrong with this story. I was at a dead end again, and I tried my best to find any way to get deeper into this mystery. I tried everything, messaging a few friends I worked with before, hoping they could dig something up, but nobody found anything. Until I decided to check on the link again. I noticed how it ended with .ln and tried to do an ordinary search with this, but to no surprise, nothing showed up. Although I was curious to what this LN was, so I loaded up the Wayback Machine since the website looked old and found an old European site from 2002. The Altstadt Gazette. Inside it really looked like nothing special, just a local news blog, but the sole reason I'm showing you this site is because what I found at the very bottom. Learn about the other LN. I clicked on it and it brought up a pop-up which got me very interested. Unavailable, taken down under redacted, apart from Mongolia and Estonia. This was weird, but what do they mean apart from Mongolia and Estonia? Out of pure curiosity, I used a VPN, switched over to a Mongolian network, and started digging for any sites that ended with .ln. After scrolling through a bunch of old domain search pages with nothing useful, I finally stumbled across 3 search results. The first 2 were completely taken down, like a lot of these sites seem to have been by request for some reason. But the third one actually pulled something up. a recovered fragment of a conversation between two people, Joe Easel and Matthew Nathan. They seem to be talking about a site in which half of it is gone and how it feels wrong according to them.
Illegal? Maybe. Everything is crossed out.
But the final 3 messages revealed something that marked the very turning point of this mystery.
Wait, dude, scroll. There's still something. .ln, you see it? Yeah, usually means it's from the network. The Lattice network.
That's it. .ln stands for the Lattice Network. I didn't waste a single second and typed out the Lattice Network onto the Wayback Machine, and I was greeted with one single website, a post on a forum titled A Treaty Few Remember from 2005, written by Gerald Hendricks. This article discusses a forum between nations to manage crimes that would take place online. These nations wanted a place on the internet to hide evidence of certain incidents, so it would be hidden away without any way to reach it. Apparently, almost every major government agreed to sign this agreement silently, except for 2. And this is where I realized this could very likely be related to the Lattice Network, because the 2 nations had to be Mongolia and Estonia. It's said that some of these records held in the Lattice Network had been displaced, only accessible through very specific endpoints, and attempts to erase this data never succeeded. So the Lattice Network isn't really a site, it's a corridor, a leftover piece of the internet created by that treaty. And the reason we are seeing fragments now is because those doors were never properly closed. This was groundbreaking, but what did it mean for Jamie? I decided to search beyond the Wayback Machine though, and that is when I found something genuinely insane. An unupdated site still stuck in 2020 which discussed the Uncensored Library. I'm certain many of you know about the Minecraft map that is banned in a few countries. This contains articles from many parts of the world. Brazil, Belarus, Eritrea, Russia, Vietnam, the list goes on. And these hold information that document human rights violations, government censorship, and threats faced by independent media. But this section of the site was what I was surprised by. It said that some of the books in the Egypt, Mexico, and Vietnam sections contain sensitive information about online journalists that were obtained through previous undisclosed channels. And researchers investigating these documents noticed that they appear to have originated from a highly secretive digital network. Heck, the library has even faced legal restrictions in some countries precisely because it contains these leaked files, which are linked to an extensive and opaque framework referred to as the Lattice Network. There are leaked files of the Lattice Network inside the library. That is one of the reasons it's banned in certain countries. This goes to show that whatever we are trying to do is insanely dangerous. But you know I like danger, and if we want to put an end to what's happening to Jamie, we have no choice but to go in. But how? I had all the information I needed to try accessing the Lattice Network, but I didn't know where to go from here. The only reason we even went this far was the LN in the link. Still, I wasn't done digging. I pressed on Gerald Hendricks' name. To my surprise, it pulled up his old details. He seemed to be an independent internet specialist and a crime data consultant who focused on some cool things like criminal trace analysis. But I was here for one thing: his contact number. In 2005, he was 22, which means he'd be around 42 now. If by some miracle he still had that number, we might be in luck. So I reached out to him with a simple message and waited. Believe me, a whole 2 days passed with no luck, and I was beginning to lose hope on this whole mystery. What is happening to Jamie? Why is it all hidden inside a network that almost every nation in the world has banned access to? Why has Jamie been subject to this manipulation? We don't really know anything yet. But at 2:23 a.m.
Oh wow,
That's been a long time. My number still works? I honestly didn't expect anyone to reach out. Who's this? I got a reply. I didn't waste any time and told him I was investigating something that I'd read in his old post from 2005. He was shocked anyone had even dug that far, and honestly I don't blame him, it was really out of nowhere. But I wasn't here for small talk, and I told him I needed access to some records and archives, or even the site itself, since I believed the article he wrote about was related to the Lattice network. And apart from the warnings, I was right. He explained that the link I was after wasn't some normal website, it was a private network, and anyone who went too deep into it had ended up in serious trouble. I told him that it's fine. Little does he know I had been in serious trouble before, many times. But I also explained that this was my only chance to even see the link to it, and I'd even pay him to give me the link. And a final warning later, I got it. The actual link to it, the Lattice network itself. I typed it in and it led to a site with an endless scroll, each and every single box a subject with a story. Hidden crimes across the whole globe, and believe me, some of these stories are so dark I'm sure YouTube wouldn't ever allow them to be told. But we're here for Jamie, and when I typed out his number, subject 336, there it was, Jamie Brown Wells. I clicked on it and immediately got hit with something I didn't expect. His birth certificate. I wondered why something that private would be sitting on this site, but when I looked closer, I noticed the section under notations of importance.
Infant presents heightened synaptic activity, too advanced for age, remarkable case. Presented with unusual neurological responses during neonatal examination.
What does that even mean? Heightened synaptic activity too advanced for age sounds extremely rare, and the fact that they marked it as a remarkable case makes it even stranger. Mason's reaction to Jamie now makes much more sense. It's possible that he literally can't get bored, but just the birth certificate doesn't explain his behavior throughout that final video. And when I scrolled down, brain scans. This is the first time we see the full form of the DNSB, the Defense Neurosciences Bureau, but this is downright one of the most unsettling things I've ever seen. The first scan seems normal, though they had marked a spot where a possible nervous mutation could form. And the second scan confirms that something is not right.
Definite change likely linked to continuous exposure to trauma.
Why are they doing this? Even though it's possibly curable, what is their point? Why is Jamie, just an ordinary person with a small special trait, being treated so harshly by whatever the Defense Neurosciences Bureau is? Well, everything has answers, and when I looked below the scans, there it is. This directive establishes the controlled utilization of Subject 336 for the purpose of neural resilience testing, cognitive augmentation, and preparatory conditioning for future clone mind implementation. All operational procedures must be executed to maintain maximum compliance, psychological strain, and data fidelity, manipulating in-game outcomes to create unsolvable challenges that erode confidence and trigger adaptive stress response, integrating auditory and cognitive stress by manipulating the music he listens to, curating all visual feeds including YouTube, in-game events, and personal communications, overlaying pattern-based stimuli to disrupt short-term memory and increase dependency on DNSB-provided cues, physical and social environment control, limiting unmonitored activity to 0, controlling all interactions to maximize the subject's reliance on DNSB guidance, leveraging family and peer contingencies to reinforce obedience. All this for future clone mind development and developing protocols for implantation of neural interface chips, enabling full remote cognitive manipulation. This is what was happening to Jamie. He was being manipulated and pushed around for just being different, all for future weaponized development. It's absolutely disgusting, and it all traces back to the DNSB. They've buried this entire operation inside the Lattice network so no one can see it. No one can stop it. Jamie's strong, he's resilient, but I don't think it matters anymore because everything is under their control. They don't want him to win. They're pushing him to fail just to see how much his brain can handle before it collapses. There was one final button at the very bottom of the site, and when I pressed it, I was greeted with this. Hundreds of videos, all containing the experiments on Jamie, with the most recent one being the circle loop test. I clicked on the first circle loop test, and it begins as Don makes his way to the room where we see Jamie standing facing the wall.
Good. Listen to me. You stayed the whole night. You must stay the whole morning too, okay, Jamie? Reply with yes, I obey.
Yes, I obey.
Don asks Jamie to follow him as he leads him into a room and yet another hallway before entering a rather interesting place. However, what Don says to Jamie is purely one of the worst things I expected.
Jamie Brown Wells, I need you to follow this path. You will not leave until I tell you to.
He makes Jamie obey again, then sends him off walking in circles over and over while he keeps throwing words at him, telling him to keep going, telling him that this will make him normal again. Normal, it's sick. You can see Jamie's exhausted, dragging, crashing into walls, completely breaking down. He's not being tested, he's being tortured. Don's lies get even worse as he tells Jamie that his friends are watching him. Little does Jamie know no one is watching except for the DNSB. The Maverick from that video was never Maverick. It was an impersonation to make Jamie feel like his friends hate him. It gets darker though. The rules: no water breaks, no one allowed in his house, forcing total control. And at this point it doesn't even feel like psychological manipulation anymore. It feels physical, like they've got him completely in their hands. Don even warns him if he stops there will be serious consequences for his family, and Jamie just answers with this flat broken yes master. That's it. That's all he says. Jamie never really stood a chance, and if the DNSB continues to do this, many other victims won't either. And if no one else is gonna do it, we have to stop this somehow. I visited the site again, wondering where I could find an opening, but instead I found a note left by Don on the most recent test.
Recorded 1 day ago. One more brain scan scheduled tomorrow.
Tomorrow, which means today. That was it, the window. If we are ever gonna stop this, it had to be now. I needed a way in, so I messaged Gerald again and asked if he had an account, a real registered one in the Lattice network. He told me yes, but he wasn't just gonna hand it over, because even owning one was illegal. Though I had no time, and a few back and forths, some arguing, some threats, and a rather expensive deal later, it was mine. I logged into it and found Jamie's information stored for everything. Spotify, Discord, his Gmail, but I was here for his Microsoft one because that is how we can access Minecraft, and it was right here, so I plugged it in, logged into his account, opened up Minecraft, and I was inside. Somehow Don wasn't there and I couldn't move at all, since Jamie somehow seemed to be in control of the player, but I could open chat. I told him to listen to me. I told him that he needs to stop right now and they are manipulating him. But apart from a few confused pauses, he didn't say a single word. This wasn't gonna work. I had to come up with a different idea. And that's when I found out I could infiltrate the DNSB database. I dug through many files before finally finding Don's credentials. And to my luck, he wasn't online. He probably thought that Jamie's going to get a brain scan today, so he might have not logged on. But this didn't mean that I was completely safe. The DNSB doesn't seem like a small organization, and I don't want to get my hopes too high up. I logged into Don's account and Gerald Hendricks, your credentials have been flagged in relation to an unsanctioned interference involving Subject 336. Any further breaches conducted through your login will result in immediate revocation of privileges, permanent removal from the Lattice system, referral to external compliance authorities for prosecution. You are reminded that all activity is logged. If Subject 336 remains unrecovered within 48 hours, your designation will be reclassified as a compromised asset. Unauthorized operators using your account will be tracked down. You've crossed with the wrong group.